Hey, Mr. Richards here. Today's 8th grade Unit 7 Lesson 9 anchor problems involve the Pythagorean theorem as well as using it to solve area and perimeter questions. So in problem 1, we're going to find the missing length in each triangle and give an exact answer and an approximate answer to the nearest tenth of a unit. As you can see, we have a calculator loaded here on this side. My advice to you on any of these questions is to identify the hypotenuse first, your longest side. And so, your longest side is going to be here at 10, so that's our C. And so here's your A, here's your B, and so A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. So X squared plus 9 squared is going to equal 10 squared. X squared plus 81 is going to equal 100. And so now we're going to subtract the 81 from both sides. So that way then we have x squared equals, see, 100 minus 81 is 19. At this point, we can take the square root of both sides to solve this. So the square root, and we're now left with an exact answer of x equals the square root of 19. That's our exact answer. But if we look at a calculator now, we can say, what is the square root of 19? Well, I'm going to hit 19. I'm going to hit my second button and square root to get this 4.358 thing. Well, nearest tenth of a unit means we're going to make this about equal to 4.4 units. And so now as we go to the next one, again, opposite of the right angle is going to be our hypotenuse here, C. And I'll label my other sides A and B. So once again, A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. And so 12 squared plus B squared, which was, oops, fix that there. We know our B squared this time. That is the square root of 56 squared is going to equal x squared. 12 squared is 144. The square root of 56 squared is, well, 56 equals x squared. 144 plus 56 is going to be 200 equals x squared. And if we take the square root of 200 on both sides, we're going to be left with, well, an exact answer of the square root of 200 equals x. Well, what is the square root of 200? Well, if I take the square root button, it's 14.14 and all that stuff. In other words, to the nearest tenth, we're going to be at 14.1 is about equal to x. So when it says an exact answer, you can just do your square root. The approximate answer is when you use the calculator and kind of get your approximate, and always look for what it's asking you to approximate to, here the nearest tenth of a unit. All right, let's move on. Question 2. Find the area of the isosceles triangle below. Give your answer to the nearest tenth of a unit. Well, area of triangles is always going to be 1/2 your base times your height. Remember, your base and your height of triangles meet at right angles. And so as I draw in my height for this triangle, this line coming down here is my height, because it meets at a right angle. So what is this height? We don't know yet, do we? But I do know that I just drew two identical triangles, so that I have a length of 2 here and a length of 2 here, because 4 divided by 2 is 2, so 2 and 2 are 4. And it sure does look like on this side over here that I have a right triangle. And same over here. And so if I solve that right triangle question now, here, I'm going to label this side A, this side B, and opposite the right angle is going to be the C. So that way I can find what that height actually is. So A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. My A is 2, so 2 squared, plus, I don't know B, but we'll call it our height, squared is equal to C squared, which is 6. 2 squared is 4, plus H squared equals 36. If I subtract 4 from both sides, I'm going to get H squared is equal to 32. And now, if I take the square root on both sides, I'm going to get H equals the square root of 32. But of course, I'm going to be going to the nearest tenth of a unit here. And so I need to, in my calculator over here, take 32 and look at the square root. That's 5.656. And so I'm actually going to approximate this to the nearest hundredth for now. So H is about equal to, we'll call 5.6. And we'll round that 5 up to a 6. And since area is now equal to 1/2 times my entire base times my height, area is going to equal now 1/2 times my base, my entire base was 4, times my height is this 5.66 number. And so area is going to be, let's see, 1/2 times 4 is 2. And if I take 2 times this 5.66, it's 11.32. Into the nearest tenth of a unit, area is going to equal 11.3 square units. So if you recap what we did here to get this 11.3 units, or 11.3 square units, 11.3 square units, you need to find this height, and we're going to split this base in half, so 2 and 2. It creates really 2 right triangles. We only need one of them. We'll label our hypotenuse here, C. If A, B, C, use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing leg, which ends up being your height. And then use that to find area equals 1/2 base times height for the area of the triangle. 1/2 times your base times your height. And this question was 11.3 square units. Problem 3. Find the perimeter of the triangle below. Give your answer to the nearest tenth of a unit. Well, we need to find some of these missing sides. We need to find the rest of this piece over here. We need to find this piece here. And we need to find the hypotenuse over here. Well, it sounds like we have 2 triangle questions that we need to solve, doesn't it? Well, in order to do this, we still have a right angle here. Let's do this triangle on the left first. This side out here is going to be my C. We'll call the 6 in this question my A, and the missing side B. And so A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. So 6 squared plus B squared is going to equal 10 and 8/10 squared. 6 squared is 36 plus B squared equals, well, let's see, 10 and 8/10 squared is 116 and 64/100. If we subtract 36 now from both sides in order to get that B squared alone, we're left with B squared equals, let's subtract 36 while we have it up, 80 and 64/100. Now, if we take the square root of both sides, second square root, we're going to be left with 8.979. So we're going to approximate this to be B is about equal to 8.98. Oh, almost looks like 9 units to me, but we'll call it 8.98 for now. All right, so this length is 8.98 units, which this entire length then, if we want to look for this entire length, we add that 8.98 plus 3 is going to be 11.98 units for that entire length here. And so now we need to find this green side. Well, we'll stick with A and B, and the opposite side of the right angle is going to be our hypotenuse, C. So once again, A squared plus B squared is going to equal C squared. 6 squared plus 3 squared equals C squared. 6 squared is 36. 3 squared is 9. You add 36 to 9, you get 45 equals C squared. Take the square root of both sides to find what C is equal to, and get the help of my trusted calculator for this. 45 square root, you get 6.708, so 6.71 is about equal to C. So this is going to be 6.71. And now lastly, to find my perimeter here, it's going to be the 11.98 of this length here. Oops. Let's see. And then it's going to be added to that 6 7/100ths that we found right there, and added to the 10 8/10ths. And so, for one last question here, 11.98 plus 6.71 plus 10.8 is going to be equal to 29.49 units. It wants it to the nearest tenth of a unit. And so this perimeter is going to be 29 5/10 units as our final answer. So this lesson really is all about being able to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve more questions involving just finding lengths or hypotenuses, as well as finding perimeters and finding areas. And so that is it for this lesson, Unit 7, Lesson 9. Good luck.